are you doing?
I'm burying you.
I'm alive! I'm alive!
You're waking the neighbors!
No!
Shut up!
No!
What's up, guys? Spenny. If the last 100 years has taught us anything, it's that there is a single, unified, very dangerous force that is marching against the Christian West in order to upend all of our values, in order to atomize our nations and destroy them. And they've been very successful, by the way, in doing that to many Western nations. And that force is, of course, collectivism, communism, the march of atheistic Marxism that says that there is no God, that in fact the government is God, and the government should be a tyrant. It should rob your children of free will, free association, free speech, of all of the ideals that we hold true and attributable in the West, and that your life is meaningless and just a utilitarian element of a greater overall economic scheme set about by your betters who view themselves as gods. I view that as a foremost evil, and obviously as communists win elections throughout America, I view this as the single most prescient problem because I care about America. This is the only country that I do care about or ever will care about because it's my country. My children are American. I'm an American. My grandparents were Americans. They fought in America's wars. And so this is my birthright and my nation. Does Ben Shapiro believe that? I don't know. I don't know Ben Shapiro well at all. I have nothing really against him in principle, right? As a person, I have nothing against him. But as a commentator, I think that Ben has made some huge and critical mistakes and some huge errors, obviously, in his commentating on what America is exactly. Because Ben has laid forth in debates with Tucker Carlson that happened about 8 years ago, all the way through to this very day, that Americans are, in fact, just economic units, numbers on a ledger to be moved around by the forces of large financial capital, that your hometown doesn't matter, where your grandparents are buried doesn't matter. You need to have no heritage and no connection to the place where you were raised. In fact, it's better if you don't. You have no history. You have no future. And these are some of the points, obviously, that I think are extremely corrosive and are major missteps and are wildly out of touch with the current attitudinal base of the MAGA movement, the America First movement, and I think what people would consider conservatism or republicanism. It is a very soulless and heartless, steely, impersonal way to view the world, and it comes directly into conflict with the way that Tucker approaches the nation. And Tucker has now released a nearly 2-hour podcast detailing the differences between himself and commentators like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, who I think, if you could argue one thing very effectively, is that they're really not America First commentators. And Tucker says that they just won't be relevant in a couple of years, and he guarantees that. And he guarantees that because he believes that the battle lines that are drawn right now and that he will win on is that you must put your country first, and that we aren't just an economic zone in order for global multinational businesses to move numbers around on a board, that we are in fact a nation with a history and a people, and that those who seek to undermine that should rightfully be not welcomed in circles that claim to be America first, to put this country first. Now, I encourage you to watch the whole thing. I, in fact, encourage you also to watch Ben's commentating on it so that you can sort of see the full landscape and perspective here. But I want to just hit on 2 or 3 really quick and important parts about Tucker's takedown of Ben Shapiro here, which I think are critically important, and that hit sort of the hammer on the head of the nail. And that is that Tucker says you cannot win this battle of ideas if you have loathing for the people which you are trying to win over. That would be Americans. And he goes through a series of Ben Shapiro comments that Tucker says, and I would tend to agree, shows sort of a distinct loathing for the people of America and their livelihoods, histories, and heritage. Let me know what you think here.
Feeling that way about someone in your own country. Imagine having that level of contempt for a fellow American. You don't even know anything about the person. It's young people, they're not entitled to live where they want. They'll live where BlackRock tells them they can live. It's like, whoa. If you had a thought like that, I've had some ugly thoughts. I just admitted having some ugly thoughts. Boy, I would try and push it back and not express it. Ben says it without any embarrassment because he means it. That's exactly right, because he means it. Whew. I don't think that you can win a popular debate with that attitude, because irrespective of the content of your sentence, people can feel the loathing that the speaker has for them. Ben Shapiro just does not care about you at all. Is not even pretending to care about you. So again, it really doesn't matter what he's selling. That guy is not going to make the sale if people are free to buy whatever they want. It's like, I don't know what that guy's selling, but he doesn't like me. I can feel it right away. He doesn't care at all about me at all. And he thinks so little of me, he's not even going to like put on the dog. He's not even going to like try to pretend to care about me. And a guy like that, whew, he really needs censorship and bullying to succeed, because the free market does not reward a man like that at all, ever. Because people don't like it. Why would they like it? Here's another clip that makes basically the same point that is in some ways even more disgusting, maybe less well known. Here's Ben Shapiro telling you that if you ever want to retire, stop working to pay off your 50 freaking year mortgage. You own the house, really, for 50 years. Okay, no, I'm renting it. I'll be 90 by the time I pay it off, which of course I won't, because I got all kinds of other loans too. So if you complain about that, if you had these dreams of like working really hard and retiring, how dare you? How dare you? Here's Ben Shapiro.
No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old. Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem. It's totally insane that you believe that you should be able to work from the time that you are essentially 20 to the time that you are 65, which is a 45-year period, pay in, and then you will receive Social Security benefits sufficient to support you and your family, you and your wife or whatever, for like another 20 years. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, it's crazy talk. Like, how dare you? How dare you? Now, the conventional response to this, I've heard people say it is, well, Ben Shapiro can say that because he's a podcaster. He's not climbing ladders for a living. And if you climb ladders for a living, you know, or do any kind of physical labor, even light physical labor, your body breaks down. It's just a fact. And if you're around people who've done it, you know, by the time they get to 50, they're limping and they're in pain. That's why they're, you know, you go to these little towns around the country and most businesses are gone. There are no furniture stores or no toy stores. Like, they're all gone. They're all at Walmart. They're a husk. But what you do find next to the, you know, the drug rehab places are chiropractors, or a lot of chiropractors throughout the country. It's because poorer people, working class people, blue collar people are aching. They have trouble walking. Their backs hurt. So retirement for a man who climbs ladders is a little bit different from a man who hosts a podcast. But that's not even the point that I would make. That's true, of course. He's pure contempt for people who work with their bodies, and he should be judged for that. But I think it's deeper than that. It's like, how dare you tell me when I should retire? Who are you exactly?
I think really, quite frankly, that is the core of it. Tucker's son's Ben Shapiro. You can't lead people if you hate them. You can't lead people if you have animosity towards them, if you're willing to show contempt, if you're showing contempt for them. This is something that clearly isn't going to work out for you. That's why Tucker Carlson in this monologue states multiple times that he just doesn't see a future for Ben Shapiro's model of politics. You've got to be America first. And I just don't see a Republican Party that is going to go back to sort of a globalist, multinational, open borders, economic unit version of the Republican Party that was very popular when Mitt Romney, for instance, was running for president. I just don't see that. I tend to agree with Tucker that this is, of course, the future. It is certainly what I believe and what I am standing for. You know, America first, America only, period. Tucker Carlson then spends the end of his 2-hour monologue breaking down some advice for Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, of whom he spends the first considerable portion of the podcast talking about. Again, I encourage you to go back and watch it. And it is quite remarkable. You cannot lead a nation that you do not love. You cannot lead a people that you have contempt for. They'll understand it will fail. It will be a project that fails. And most importantly, people are smart and they'll sense that. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Tucker's full explanation on that.